pursue science is not to disparage the things of the spirit. In fact, to pursue science rightly is to furnish the framework on which the spirit may rise.
Welcome to the Endless Frontiers, your home for all things science, fiction, and science fiction. I'm your host, Jed Morgan, and welcome into episode 27 of the Write or Flight podcast. Unfortunately, because I did this show on Thursday, there is not a whole lot of new news to talk about. In fact, two of the topics are mere updates on what we talked about on Thursday. So anyone out there who has good ideas for what we can talk about, maybe something I missed in the news cycle, or just a great science fiction property prompt, I'd love to hear. We can make the show a little bit more interactive and see where it takes us. It's going to be a lot more free-flowing this time. Speaking of which, thank you so much for watching, whether or not you're on the YouTube side or the Kick side. It's great to have you here. I see Legatus Legionus, the Mod Supreme, doing the Lord's work on both YouTube and Kick. It's great to have you here, my friend. And Dash is here saying 3, 2, 1, liftoff. Liftoff indeed. One of the things we're going to talk about is a bit of a false liftoff, a false start. I mean, it was never supposed to take off of the ground, but at least we're lifting off tonight. And welcome in Ginger Norseman saying good evening, folks. Good evening, Ginger Norseman. Great to have you here. I hope you enjoy the stream. So yeah, like I said, the news is rather sparse. If you've been watching Tryhard's Roundtable or even Write or Flight last week, you'll know exactly what I'm going to talk about. Everything that I have is a mere update on what we've had thus far. I'm not going to talk about 007 because I have my own gaming streams for that. At least not in a lot of detail. I'm not going to pull up anything for that. And I know in this sphere it is an unpopular opinion, but I am really enjoying that game. I am immensely enjoying that game. But I went through it in great enough detail on tryhards that I don't know if we need to. But if you guys want me to, we can. Obviously, I just don't have anything like that prepared. I'm going to stream that game as soon as I get another chance. Maybe tomorrow night. It might be Wednesday night. We'll see. Always playing by ear with my day job getting in the way. And today was a long day. I usually telework on Mondays, but I fortunately was not able to today. So that's why it's at 8 p.m., not 7 p.m. I had to rush home from work and have time to get everything set up. Dash says, have you seen the trailer for The End of Oak Street? A suburban block blipped through time to get overrun by dinosaurs. I saw one of the early teasers, I think it was. It was a trailer that, it was several months ago, a trailer where they didn't really show anything. We had no idea what the plot was about. It wasn't until recently when I heard basically that plot synopsis about it being transported through time that I found out that that was even an aspect of it. So I haven't seen any updated trailer. If you guys want me to react to that, I absolutely will. I think that movie is out, or is it not out yet? Ginger Norseman. I've seen some stuff. Oh, you've seen some stuff about that movie. Yeah. It looks really weird. I think it's Anne Hathaway, and I can't remember the who plays her husband in that movie. I think it's Ian McGregor. I'd have to double check. But yeah, I'm more than happy to react to that. If you guys want, we can watch that trailer together. I just don't know enough about it. It seems dumb, if I'm being honest, from what I saw before. It was E1. Okay. But yeah, when I saw the initial teaser, no idea what it was about. It looked weird. It kind of looked like dinosaurs just showed up in the neighborhood. I was like, is this a poor man's Jurassic Park? But yeah, the time travel aspect is really weird. That's something I'd expect. That's what I want from the last Fast and Furious movie. If I'm being honest, I want the I don't know what they're calling it yet, Fast and Furious 11, to be about time travel. Please, you've gone to space in 9. 10, all you did was roll a ball around Rome and jump off a dam or drive off a dam. Come on, you gotta escalate. That's where we're at this franchise. It has to get bigger. It has to get dumber. So introduce time travel. It's fine. It's time. It got a real trailer today. Oh, okay. So there is a brand new official trailer. So it's still a month or two from being released, I'm guessing. Ginger Norseman, I'm more looking forward to Disclosure Day. Are you looking forward to that movie? I'm not impressed with what I'm seeing yet. I personally believe that Steven Spielberg lost his touch ever since really Minority Report. I believe that's the last truly great film. Lincoln was good. Lincoln was good as well. But besides that, I haven't been impressed with any Spielberg movie I've seen. So I'm not looking forward to Disclosure Day, especially with the conspiracy theories around it. The idea that Disclosure Day, the movie, that the U.S. government paid Steven Spielberg to make this movie to soften the blow for the public about a real Disclosure Day. As we've seen with the disclosures that have already been going on with aliens, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think so, because we're already getting the disclosure before the movie even came out, and they're pathetic. The disclosures released by the U.S. government recently are so bad. One was a stormtrooper balloon. I'm not even kidding. There was a stormtrooper balloon that people were able to verify what it was, that that had just been let go and was flying around, and people were like, it's a floating person. Oh my god, it's a flying alien. It's like, no, that's a stormtrooper. That is just a stormtrooper. And another one where it's a light flare, and because light looks differently in infrared, it looked weird, it looked creepy, sure, but completely explainable. And then the US government followed it up with aliens.gov. Do you guys know about it? I don't like to get into politics, but aliens.gov was a website filed with the US government that redirects to another site, but it was about aliens, right? And there was this whole speech about how they've been living among us, how politicians have been hiding their existence, that it's finally time for truth. The world needed a hero, and that hero is Donald Trump. And it was just about illegal immigrants, not actual extraterrestrials. It's a funny bit, sure. A lot of people said it was dehumanizing and the most evil thing they've ever seen. But yeah, that's where we're at with official disclosures. So yeah, the conspiracy theory aspect of Steven Spielberg, I'm not looking forward to the lead up of that. Those getting crazy. Ginger Norseman, you're getting Sign vibes? Okay, yeah, if you're enjoying it from that standpoint, I've got nothing against that. I just don't trust Spielberg. That's why I'm not looking forward to it. But, yeah, it looks interesting in that sense. Ginger, LOL, yeah, I just hoping it gives me the creeps. Okay, yeah, I've never really been freaked out by a horror film, and I'd love to. I keep trying to find one that scares me. I used to roommate back right when I got out of the military, roughly. I had a roommate who got out of basic training, who was a horror fanatic. Everything he watched was horror. His favorite genre, every new horror movie he had to go see. And when I asked him, I said, hey, I've never been scared by a horror film. To be fair, I've never really seen a whole lot, so it wasn't that, oh, I'm somehow special. It's just, I don't watch a whole lot of horror. What's something that you're sure will scare me and give me that good horror feel? And what he suggested was The Witch from Robert Eggers. And I did watch that film. It was interesting. I liked it, but it didn't frighten me. So horror's never been a genre I've been super into, unless it's thriller with a psychological angle, a plot angle. That's what really gets me invested in a horror film. But like slashers, like The Conjuring, none of those have really appealed to me. So I can see, Ginger, if you're more into that type of film, this might be a great film for you to look forward to. So it makes total sense. I'll have to see it because of what this channel deals with, because of the science and the science fiction aspect of it. So we'll see. Emily Blunt's talking about how she's had to question whether or not aliens are real because of filming this. So who knows? Who knows if Spielberg really has delivered proof of aliens? I will definitely be checking it out. Legatus, with SpaceX IPO on June 11th, will it be a big event, get its target valuation? I don't know. Some people are saying that SpaceX is in dire straits. Like, there was a report I saw that Elon Musk is planning on using people's 401ks to artificially inflate SpaceX because it's failing. And that sounds really crazy to me, considering how much Elon is valued at. I'm sure he could inflate it in better ways than that. As far as I'm aware, SpaceX is not struggling. I thought SpaceX was doing extraordinarily well. So I'm not sure if it's going to meet exactly its valuation, but from what I've heard, besides that report, I don't think it's going to be insanely off the mark. We'll have to see. It'll be a big event when it goes public eventually. And, you know, I'm not big into stocks. I've taken stock classes and I understand how they work and whatnot. And I do own Tesla stock, just a few. It's nothing to brag about. But I might consider SpaceX stock legitimately once it's available, once we see how it, you know, levels out, what it's worth, make an evaluation. Because if Elon is able to accomplish all his plans, that stock is going to increase in value. When there's a moon base, when he sends Starship to Mars, that's going to increase in value. So I'm not a financial expert. This is not financial advice for me in any way, shape, or form, but I would probably consider it for my personal financial situation, investing in them. Dash, this administration are meme lords. Yeah. The White House Twitter account, they're very meme-brained, we'll say that. I don't like to get into politics on here, but yeah, that alien.gov thing just made me laugh, especially because it was Matrix font. It looked like, you know, the green text of the Matrix, and when it turned out to be, halfway through, I knew what it was talking about, but how overdramatic it was like the opening crawl of a B movie. It was wild. Dash, investors have to be salivating for the recurring revenue from all those Starlink subscriptions. Oh my god, yeah, and with the one-time fees. So, I talked about it a few months ago, or at least a month ago. I've been looking into switching from Spectrum to Starlink, because that's about my only other option here. No other services are really offered. So, I was looking into it, got a promotion for a cheap monthly. It was looking great. I was excited. All right, we'll finally get off Spectrum. And then it's like, well, you're in a high-use area, so we need $500 up front from you just because of where you live. And that pissed me off. So if they're just doing that for people, like a registration fee for Americans or wherever it might be, that kind of pisses me off. But of course, investors, you know, would like random fees like that. That'll inflate the stock. Dash, Tesla was panned early on, but it's 1.3 trillion now. Never bet against Elon. Exactly. I'm not betting against Elon. I do not think SpaceX is failing like that one report said. I do not think he needs to use people's 401ks to artificially inflate it. It might not be exactly what's targeted, because rarely are things exactly what they're targeted, but I think it'll be close enough that it's effectively right. Again, I'm not a financial expert. I don't, know this stuff in detail enough. Like what Dash was talking about, I would not have been able to pull that information off the top of my head. And yeah, but Elon Musk is someone that I'm willing to invest in because, yeah, he says some crazy shit sometimes. He absolutely does. And I think his orbiting data center idea is bananas. I love his lunar mass drivers. That's perfect. That makes a ton of sense. will be a great tool. But orbiting data centers powered by solar panels, I just don't see that as feasible or necessary. I mean, that's what it's going to take for AI to really be viable, and that's an insane next step. So, and Neuralink, I like what they're doing with Neuralink, focusing on helping disability. That's a great way to start stuff like that. But the moment he starts saying, hey, we're rolling this out for average people, I'm going to get concerned. I'm not putting a computer chip in my brain. I don't care what. Like, I have to be disabled, and it's going to help me function normally. That's the only way that I would consider it. So obviously, I don't agree with Elon Musk on everything. But as Dash says there, never bet against him. And he's accomplishing goal after goal when it comes to SpaceX, and that's primarily what I care about. So yeah, I will definitely be considering purchasing SpaceX stock when it comes to it. Eventually, I know, like you're saying, the evaluation is coming up soon, the IPO, but I don't know when it officially goes public, because it's still a little while after valuation before it goes public. Dash might need to, or Legatus need to update me on that, because I don't know the timetable for that. Ginger Norseman, yeah, no kill switch for me either, LOL. Yeah, I just don't trust it. I've seen enough bad movies. AI, I'm much more nuanced on, because there are, obviously science fiction properties where AI is good, some where it's bad, and I, as an IT person, I see how it works. I've seen it in use, I see what it can do, what it can't do, so I view AI as a tool that is being misused by a ton of people, but right now, just a kind of efficient tool that's being blown out of proportion, so I'm not freaked out by AI by any stretch of the imagination. But brain chips, I don't think are ever a good idea. Sure, the most I'll do is maybe someday a contact lens that operates like a screen. That's the extent of what I'm willing to put in my head. That's about it. No chips in the arms, like pay credit card chips going in my wrist or something like that. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna be one of those cyborgs. It was all disability related. I would consider being a cyborg to correct a disability. If Cyberpunk 2077 were real, I would not be modding myself. I really wouldn't. I know that's old-fashioned of me. I'm sure you all agree with it, but a lot of people consider that to be old-fashioned. And me being a science fiction writer, shouldn't I be excited for all forms of progress? I do think progress is good, and we do need to advance as a species and get better in a lot of areas, one being technology, but I don't think there's anything inherently good about progress for progress's sake. And with anything, there's good types of progress, and there are very bad types of progress. So all my opinions, the root of them, if you want to, get it down to my core belief on any subject, is there is nuance. There's nuance. That's what I believe in most every scenario. Obviously, there are some black and white situations, especially criminal related. But yeah, I believe in a lot of nuance. So with progress, there are things that are best left undone. Dash says your lack of faith in Elon is a disability. Time for your chip jet. Oh God, if we ever get to that point, we're truly lost as a species. Dash, possibly mid-June for SpaceX trading. Okay, so it's coming up very soon. That's great. I will absolutely be researching that to the best of my ability, figuring out what the best investment for me and my family will be. Dash, I wonder how much SpaceX stock Jeff Bezos will be buying. He might want to buy some because I imagine Blue Origin is in a bit of a pickle right now. It's in a bit of a pickle. I have pulled up the trailer for the End of Oak Street that came out 10 hours ago. Let me make sure it's the right one because there we go. End of Oak Street, 11 hours ago from Warner Brothers. If you guys would like me to react to it, I'm more than happy to. I wasn't planning on it. I know about as much of this movie as we've said already. Ian McGregor, Anne Hathaway, neighborhood time travel to meet dinosaurs. I don't think it looks good, but I'm more than happy to react to it if you guys want. Dash, Pickle, Blue Origin is leading the industry in pyrotechnics. Hey, you just gotta reshift your business plan. Jeff Bezos, here's your plan for fixing everything. Just shift your business model to fireworks manufacturer. You've just shown the brilliant demonstration that was, New Glenn? The New Glenn rocket explosion. People will pay big bucks for that in just a few weeks here for 4th of July. That will save his company. That will save Blue Origin. Just move over into fireworks manufacturing. That'll save you. Ginger Norseman, I'm happy to watch the trailer. Yeah, we can take a look. Dash, who needs moon landings when Bezos can just make craters on Earth? Damn. And that might be the closest New Glenn is going to get to the moon, is the crater that it makes. Ginger, can't be worse than the Jurassic series nowadays. Yeah, there's been a lot of bad Jurassic movies. I personally love the first one, hate the second one, tolerate the third one. Like, there are things that I like about the third one, which surprises people. I despise the second one, and that's before I read the book. I really don't like the movie The Lost World. I really fucking despise it. Then I read the book, and I'm like, oh my god, this story is incredible. I know it's boring for a movie, it's not high action or anything, but this is awesome. I love this. And then for the Jurassics, I knew what they were going for Jurassic World. I was able to turn my brain off and enjoy Jurassic World, but it's far, far from a good movie. I think it's worse than the entire Park trilogy, obviously, even worse than The Lost World, but its honesty in what it was made me accept it more than 2. Like, I would much rather watch Jurassic World 1 than 2. But Fallen Kingdom and Dominion are 2 of the worst pieces of shit I've ever seen. Not even in wokeness or anything like that, just objectively horrible movies. Like with the Indoraptor, the whole, we made a special militarized raptor hybrid thingy that if you point this gun with the laser sight on it at someone, it will go kill that person. And everyone's immediate thought is, you have a rifle that you're pointing at the person with no obstructions to make the laser hit that person. Just shoot him! And that's why in Dominion there was just little like handheld laser things, which I guess makes a tiny bit more sense. But the problem with Dominion was, 24 dinosaurs released in California, multiplied and replenished the Earth on all 7 continents and adapted to every biosphere or every environment on Earth in the matter of 2 or 3 years. Dominion, I think, is the worst one in the franchise for that alone. And then the plot's stupid as hell. The Locust being the central aspect, cameos trying to be the only thing valuable about it. But similar to Jurassic World 1, Rebirth, I thought was a lot better than Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, and I felt like it was being more honest in what it was. It's not good. I still gave it like a 5 or a 6. But Rebirth, I didn't hate to the degree that I did Dominion. I know a lot of people in the sphere thought it was the worst piece of shit ever, but at least its plot made sense, and at least it tried to fix Dominion. It said, alright, we have this stupid pile of shit that dinosaurs on all 7 continents in snow. What do we do with this? Let's try to fix it a little bit. Let's say the ones in cold climates have been dying and everything's kind of congregating around the equator. Great, you're putting a band-aid on it, but at least you're putting in the effort. So there was a lot of little things like that where they were trying to fix the disaster that was Dominion and Fallen Kingdom, so I could at least respect the effort, and I do think those changes were improvements. They weren't good necessarily, and the D-Rex is retarded. I hated the D-Rex, I hated the end of the film, but there was a sense of wonder in the franchise again. Like, Justin Bailey, I think his name is Jonathan Bailey. His character, I really liked his character. He was fascinated by the dinosaurs. There was that love of dinosaurs again that we hadn't seen in a long time, at least in more than a scene or 2 in a film. So Rebirth, I thought, was an improvement, but still worse than the entire Park trilogy. Even Lost World. Dash, everything was just a letdown after the first one. 100%. A letdown after the first one. And now that I've read both of the books in the last few months, Jurassic Park and The Lost World, Even the first one's a bit of a letdown. I still love the first one. It's an incredible film, but the book's better. The book really is better. I love the book. And Lost World, the Lost World book is my favorite Jurassic Park entry, book or movie-wise. The Lost World was great. Dash, if a dinosaur kills them, it's an act of God. Insurance scam. Oh, God, that series is the disaster these days. I can't believe they're still making them, because Rebirth, I don't think really made money. I think it might have broken even, but it didn't justify its own existence. Not that many movies do these days, except for Obsession. Obsession has justified itself and 100 similar movies. Maybe not 100, but damn, it's justified itself. Ginger, I liked half of Lost Worlds until a teenager was beating a raptor with gymnastics. Yeah, the kid with gymnastics, that was ridiculous. Everyone being retarded when it came to the T-Rex blood. I really hate Julianne Moore's character. She is partially genius, mostly retard. Like, T-Rexes have the best sense of smell in the dinosaur kingdom. Proceeds to walk around with dinosaur blood all over her. And they added so much to it, like the plot line about Hammond. Spoiler alert, Hammond died in the first book, so he wasn't setting up a rescue mission in the second one, and it wasn't his company that was kind of coming out from underneath him, InGen coming out from underneath him, trying to steal a bunch of dinosaurs. There was no San Diego portion, zero San Diego portion, and everything just made a lot more sense. The character's more likable. The daughter, the gymnastics daughter, not Ian Malcolm's kid. It was actually two kids and students of another scientist who was, it's funny, the scientist working with, the paleontologist working with Ian Malcolm in that book, he was an absolute dick and disregarded everything but his research type person, right? And he committed a crime. It was some misdemeanor. It was like a speeding violation or something like that. And his probation was teaching middle school science. And that's how he met these kids. And that was just a cool detail about it. And the whole point of Ian Malcolm and these scientists going back to the island, or going to a different island, was about studying extinction. How does extinction actually occur? And it's fascinating, and it's fueled by bodies washing ashore on the mainland, which makes a lot more sense. The one thing I didn't like about the first Jurassic Park is it had a bunch of dinosaurs showing up on the mainland for inexplicable reasons, and like dinosaurs stowing away in boats and being successfully hidden for the weeks or days it took to get back to the mainland. I could not buy any of that. But the Lost World had much more reasonable explanations for how they got to the mainland. And Dodson from the first movie, if you remember, we got Dodson here. That guy, he was going to that island for corporate espionage again. So him and two other guys. It wasn't an army with cages and dart guns and stuff like that. It was three guys in a Jeep with a local boat that took them there. And Julianne Moore's character, she was actually the last person on the island, not the first person. And yeah, the Lost World book is fucking fantastic. Ginger Norseman, I already read that one. Yeah, but I would recommend the books to anyone who's interested. They're absolutely phenomenal. But we can check out this trailer for the end of Oak Street. Again, I don't know a whole lot about it, but let's take a look. Alright, it might work sound-wise. Let's see. It is perfect.
Did anybody else see that weird light last night?
What weird light?
The wind was blowing all crazy. Starbuck was freaked out and barking.
Could have been lights from it.
I hope they explain this in the film, because this is a bizarre premise. A neighborhood accidentally gets sent back in time, or a neighborhood goes back in time, and they're dinosaurs? Huh? But, okay. Big light in the sky is what did it.
Helicopter.
Or a UFO? Aliens.
Shut up, Dad.
Okay, so it looks like there was a smaller light before the big transfer. Ew, ew. Alright, I already know it's gonna be a shit movie. Bad reboots involved? That company just moved to New York because it was failing in California. Oh god, this movie's gonna suck then. I don't like practically anything Bad Reboot is involved in. I do apologize, chat. I do have to stop it occasionally for copyright purposes. Warner Brothers is one of the worst strikers out there. What? So I would appreciate your generosity. This stream will get demonetized, so I appreciate any super chats to compensate for that. It would be greatly appreciated.
It's not working.
Looks
Yeah,
like
no
whole
shit, the
neighborhood's
water's
lost
not
power.
working.
The hell was that?
Of course, they put old music in a trailer. Are they allowed to do anything else? I feel like nearly every trailer just puts old music in it, and that's how we do it. I think it's because of James Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy. Modern movies are like, it worked for James Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy, now we have to do it all the time forever, because one thing worked one time, so we must replicate it till it's dead. It's dead. Move on. This is great music, love the music, but you're robbing it of all its meaning, all of its charm. It's fine to have this music in the movie if it makes sense, if and when it makes sense. But in trailers, move on already. That's what happens every fucking time. Did Snyder do it first? In which trailer? Because he did it, I know him famously doing it in his version, the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League. And that's actually the first time I heard that song, the Hallelujah by the Beatles. But as far as I'm aware, it was James Gunn who popularized it. I'm sure there were people who did it before him. But yeah, after the first Guardians is when I really saw it take over every fucking trailer. And that's how Hollywood learns lessons, is they're 3 years behind a trend, and then they realize it's a trend, and then they do it over and over and over and over until everyone's so sick and fucking tired of it that they eventually realize maybe we should stop. Oh, Sucker Punch. The trailer for Sucker Punch or the movie Sucker Punch? Because, yeah, movies had, old soundtracks before that. But James Gunn does it ad nauseum. That's a very good point. Sorry, Ginger Norseman, I assumed you were doing an explanation, like a justification. I apologize for using the stand voice. Yes, James Gunn does it ad nauseum. Sorry, man. Was Sucker Punch a music video? I've actually never seen Sucker Punch. The Snyder movies I've seen, I've obviously seen all his DCEU movies. I've seen 300, which I didn't like. I get why people like it. I just, I like the history. I like Greek history and stuff like that. So seeing it in that manner didn't work for me. And it's a shallow movie. Like, there's no script to speak of. And that's usually what I prefer. So I get people like the stylistic action, the roided out dudes. Makes total sense why it's successful. I'm not knocking it. It was just not a movie for me. And I tried to watch his Army of the, was it Army of the Dead? The Netflix one that was a zombie heist film. That film. I started it, and I couldn't fucking stand it. Half that movie is out of focus, and it pissed me the fuck off, so I turned it off. It's deranged, but interesting. I've heard good things about Sucker Punch. I've heard good things about his Watchmen as well. I've actually never seen a version of Watchmen.
We can't leave.
Alright, I actually need to go back and look at that. So, the whole town was lifted up like that, and they're operating as a bit of a plateau, which is probably a really good thing for them, their security in an environment like this. But I don't know how the dinosaurs got up there. That's a pretty high wall. That's a really high wall. They should be relatively safe from dinosaurs, I think. And wait. This kidnapping of the neighborhood, this teleporting in the neighborhood, it happened in the middle of the night, right? So, why is there a school bus on the street? If it happened in the middle of the night, shouldn't the school bus be at, school? It's not like school bus drivers take their buses home. At least I don't think they do. So why is it on the street cut off? Oh, dramatic effect. Right! J.J. Abrams, the king of... Does it look cool? Actually, no, that's more Zack Snyder. But still, it's a filmmaking thing is, does it look cool? Then it doesn't matter if it makes sense. I hate the fucking rule of cool. Yes, the rule of cool is an important thing to consider. As a writer, I do consider the rule of cool. But it is a band-aid. It is a splint. It is not a biogel from Mass Effect. It is not force healing from Rise of Skywalker. It is something that you use very delicately. Not just, there's a big explosion. You had a grenade. Why was it a nuke? Obviously, that's an extreme example, but the rule of cool has been so thoroughly debased by modern Hollywood. Watchmen is great. I'll have to check out Watchmen someday. It's definitely something that I'm interested in. I know a lot of diehard fans of the graphic novel aren't a fan of the movie because it, skips the tentacle monster or something like that at the end, but I don't know anything about that, really. Some of the surrounding terrain, maybe higher mountains, sure, they might have jumped over. It's awkward, but I suppose it is possible. Where the fuck? I'm just hallucinating, chat. I apologize. I thought... I've lost my phone. So what? Let me see. Maybe there's some kind of time compression at the end? Maybe. Cool should come naturally. Yes, that's my exact thought. If a scene is cool, it's cool. If you're writing something that makes sense, it'll come off as it needs to come off. The idea of forcing cool to such a degree that logic is thrown out the window, I lose all sense of cool from it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Compression at the end for the bus. Like, it was at night for Ian McGregor's family, but because of time compression, that would be a lot more complicated. Be a lot more interesting. Like, it was taken in waves or something like that from a central point throughout the day. So, yeah, that would be a lot more interesting, but I don't think they thought that much through it. I really do think they just thought, isn't it cool? And they left it there. Legatus, maybe the dinosaur flew in on the pterodactyl-powered aircraft, just like how the Flintstones fly. That, I would at least respect the movie from going to those levels of campiness.
We can't leave.
Oh,
I
good
think that
director.
Our neighborhood, our house.
Where is everybody else? Yeah, we're giving this film far too much credit. That's how I feel about a Ginger Norseman. A bit too much credit. I'm assuming this is a spherical bubble of displaced space-time. Oh, that's what you mean. Okay, so outside the bubble, things are still functioning normally, and maybe from the outside looking in, things look normal, but when you, drive through the bubble, like in a bus, and then terrifiedly, stop on the brakes, the bubble cuts it off. Okay, that I could see is more viable, them thinking through it. I could see them having that thought, at least, of passing through this barrier, and that would mean that this family just needs to walk to the end of the bubble. That's a lot more plausible. I see what you're saying, Dash. But my question is, where is everybody else? This is a whole neighborhood. Why haven't we seen other neighbors out and about? Dash, the displacement premise reminds me of the 1963 books by Eric Flint. An Appalachian town gets scooped out and dumped into 1600s Europe. Wow. I might need to check those out. That is old sci-fi. I might have a supernatural explanation, but that's really cool.
Whole street has moved.
How the hell is that even possible?
Get out of there! Run! What the hell's going on? Get inside now!
Okay, so there are neighbors. They're just the first ones out early in the morning. Okay. I was wondering where the fuck everyone is. Is this going to be a solo family outing? That makes sense. Oh! Just pausing for copyright. So I don't know if this is going to be rated R, PG-13. I imagine PG-13, but you know, if their dinosaurs are biting off heads, maybe not.
Gather supplies.
Grab anything you can use as a weapon.
He's using a bow and arrow, a toy bow and arrow against dinosaurs.
What are we gonna do?
Die? If the dinosaurs have somehow made it onto this plateau, you're done. Pack it in. You're good. The book was titled 1632, published in 2000, not that old. Okay. I was really impressed there for a second, Dash. I was very impressed. Yeah, when you saw it in 1632, I'm like, damn. I thought Jules Verne was the first, but I appreciate the clarification. It would have been funny if you'd let me think that there was a 1962 or 1632 sci-fi book about a town getting transported to Europe. That would have been funny.
We're gonna start.
Whoa. There's a little time bubble. So you're probably right, Dash. There are time bubbles. Now,
We're gonna start.
I want to know what you guys think about this camera. It's a dual lens camera. There's a fancy name for it that I don't remember right now, but it's a camera where you can have two center points of focus. So this was most likely done in shot. It might have been done in post, of course, but there are cameras that, you know, can focus on Ewan close on the left and the kid farther away on the right. Supernatural used this type of camera a lot in season 12, I think it was. What do you guys think about this type of camera? I have thoughts on this type of camera. For me, it's a very disorienting feeling to see such stark things in focus when our brains are telling us that they can't be in focus at the same time. So at least for me, it creates this uneasy feeling like something's wrong. Our eyes aren't meant to operate like this, obviously, so we expect the camera to operate in a similar way, and we're used to how cameras operate. So I get this disquieting feeling. In horror, I think that works super well. So in a movie like this that is horror themed, I'm sure this would work well, depending on the context of the scene. But when you randomly do it in a conversation, a more dramatic moment, I feel like it takes away from what's going on. If you want the audience to be unsettled, great, use it. It'll unsettle them subconsciously as much as consciously with whatever's going on in the scene. But directors who abuse it because it's cool, I really have a problem with.
Live.
This family's weapons are terrible. He had a sledgehammer. He's gonna fight dinosaurs with the sledgehammer. None of those dinosaurs looked interesting. They all look like generic dinosaur monsters. So what?
God's not gonna let us die here.
Greg, you only go to church at Christmas and now you're telling the kids God's looking out for us? What about...
Anne fucking Hathaway, her character in that moment. I understand resorting to religion in a moment like this. It's comforting. Even if he is just a Christmas and Easter Christian, I imagine it's something to hold on to give your kids who may not, be mentally equipped to handle a situation like this, hope. This feels like an unnecessary jab at religion, and I'm not a religious person. That's just, the feeling I get from this.
About the people who are out there getting eaten.
Yeah, that was shoved in there very awkwardly. It felt like the director's like, haha, I'm an atheist. Which is fine. I don't care if you're an atheist. I don't know if I am or not, honestly. There's a reason I don't talk about religion. But you don't need to ham-fist it in just to say so. Even if you are an atheist, there is a logical, if nothing else, use to religion in a moment like this. Yep. Why does she have the gun? There might be a good reason, like she has firearms training or something like that. We haven't had that shown. But he's got a sledgehammer, and she's got a rifle. Why? And she's saving him. If they justify it, great. All day long, happy with it. But it feels forced. This feels like bad reboot crap. Everything we've come to expect from modern Hollywood. I think that title's too much of a mouthful. I don't think people are going to remember this. If they had just said Oak Street, maybe, that's fine. But the end of Oak Street, it's a long title. It might work for a book. Titles like this work for books, but in a movie, I personally am of the feeling that movies need to simplify their titles a little bit. You got to fit on a poster and whatnot, and be memorable. That's an easy way. People are just going to refer to this as Oak Street. I think the title doesn't describe what's going on. It doesn't give you a sense of anything. It's like the end of Oak Street. Right? Are you talking about the Oak Street getting destroyed by something? Are you saying that you're just in a cul-de-sac at the end of Oak Street? It's not evocative of anything. Great titles, they may not tell you the plot or anything like that, but they're at least evocative enough and suggest things. Like Terminator. Terminator is such a great title because it's physically descriptive of a character, which is always an easy one, and it gives the sense of looming dread that, there's something coming. And that plays perfectly well into the plot of that film. I think Terminator is an excellent one-word title. Like 10 Cloverfield Lane. Yeah, I hate address titles. Because they don't say anything. They don't communicate to the audience anything of value. You need to come up with something interesting, something evocative, something descriptive. Honestly, I'd rather a boring descriptive title than a nothing title like this. Like, great, they live on Oak Street. So, it has to be a famous street for me to care. Like if this were a film about, I don't know, the British Prime Minister, and it was called 10 Downing Street. Great, that's a famous address. Most people would know it, especially people in England, or Pennsylvania Avenue here in the United States is an analog, or Wall Street. Like, those are super famous streets that are already associated with something in audience members' minds. So the title is letting the audience's brain do the work for it. So something like that absolutely makes sense. Oak Street doesn't mean shit to anyone. Unless it's super niche, like someone who actually lives on an Oak Street somewhere. But it doesn't tell you anything about the film. We need to stop naming movies after streets. It's stupid, and it's not cool. That it? Great. Alright, August 14th. I think that movie looks like shit. I think it looks like bad reboot garbage, and I have zero intentions of watching it. I really don't know where my phone is. That's weird. I usually bring it in here because there were work notifications I do need to monitor. And yeah, it's just weird in the modern day. It shouldn't be. I'm fully aware of that. But it is what it is. What'd you guys think of the movie? Am I a outlier here? Did everybody love it but me? Is that why you suggested it, Dash? You thought it might be good? Because, maybe from the earlier trailers it looked interesting to people. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not interested in that at all. Let me see. State of Play's about to happen, isn't it? Is that happening tonight? Let me see if there's a live stream up for it. I just got a DM about it in a group chat asking who's covering it or who's reacting to it. YouTube's not being helpful. State of Play Oh, it's tomorrow? Okay, yeah, it's tomorrow night. Great, so I don't have to worry about it. Ginger Norseman, nah, I'm with you on that one, Jed. Good, okay. I'm glad. I never liked to be an island. It doesn't change my mind if I am an island, like with 007. A lot of people have been telling me, online, it's very clear that the consensus, at least in our sphere, is that it's a piece of shit. And I don't agree with the evidence that they're suggesting. Like, haha, look, I went in around an island and the NPC went around the island. Isn't it shit? Or, I refuse to learn context for this line from this woman in Bond's earpiece. It's bad. Like, I don't feel like the criticisms are being well thought out. So, I'm going to have my opinion on it. But, no one likes to be an island. Dash, I clicked off the early trailer halfway through. I was just like the premise of them getting teleported. You just like the premise of them getting teleported. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that premise. It just looks so dumb. I hope they think through it like you were suggesting. Maybe it's a time bubble. Maybe you could drive through it with the bus and then, freak out and stop. I hope they think through stuff like this. But it's bad reboot, and I don't trust them to think through anything. I mean, I've seen the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I've heard about what happens in Lost. I've seen the Rings of Power. A lot of bad reboot acolyte projects. Oh, the Star Trek, Modern Kurtzman Star Trek. Yeah, they don't think through anything. So I really don't think they're gonna pull off a really interesting, a really weird concept like this. I think it's gonna fall pretty short for a lot of people. Are we getting hit by ads? I feel like we keep getting hit by ads because viewership, it's at a decent level and then it tanks. YouTube's always screwing with live viewership. I think it has to do with ads. But I hope you're all having a great time regardless. Hit that like button if you are. Likes really are helping in the YouTube algorithm currently. They're on a push for likes to affect, especially live stream pushes. So I would appreciate everyone liking the stream if you're enjoying it. Let me see what we have. So yeah, we're an hour in and we haven't touched the the 3 topics that I had. So we can jump on to the first one. Dash, Lost was one of the few series bungled worse than Game of Thrones Season 8. God, Game of Thrones Season 8 was horrendous. I was a new Game of Thrones fan when I watched that. Season 7 was already out when I watched Game of Thrones for the first time, so I only had to wait a year, I think, for Season 8, because they took 2 years for Season 8, and I was pissed. Even as a new fan, I could tell it was hot, steamy garbage. And Arya was my favorite character. I'm not kidding. Arya was my favorite character. She should not have gotten to kill the Night King. That's bananas. Have her kill Cersei, sure. That makes sense. That's story. That's plot. That's great setup and payoff. I'm all for that. But yeah, Lost, I've never watched it specifically because of how it ended. And honestly, if Season 8 was already out before I'd seen Game of Thrones, I wouldn't have checked it out. If a series ends badly, so badly that it has this reputation, I'm not likely to start it. Because I like resolutions, I like endings. The only time that I've really broken from that was Dexter. Dexter, I kind of knew that there was a bad ending that people didn't like, but someone introduced it to me and I was really invested in it. I was really interested in it, so I watched it on my own. And I don't mind the last season, even the last episode. It's just that last 30 seconds where he's alive. I hate that. I hate those 30 seconds, and I think a lot of people attribute that 30 seconds of pain, that 30 seconds of terrible, onto the entire final season, and I don't think it deserves that. I might need to rewatch it to be sure, but I thought the rest of the season was fine, and him dying in the hurricane was a fine enough resolution. Dash, have you watched the Dexter continuations? I saw New Blood, and I thought that was pretty bad. Not terrible, but not worth its existence. I haven't watched First Blood or whatever, the prequel. We got all that information in the show, in the flashbacks, which were a staple of the show. So I didn't feel like there was a story that needed to be told there. Even though I do believe Patrick Gibson is a fairly decent choice, a decent actor. I didn't see the other series though, the recent one that just came out. I can't remember what it's called. Dexter. Oh, yeah, I don't remember. Resurrection. I think it was Dexter Resurrection. I haven't seen it. I know like Neil Patrick Harris and Dwarf Man was in it. Why can't I remember his name right now? I've been having real trouble remembering names the last few weeks. I don't know what's up with that, but he played Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones. I really can't remember his name right now. Yeah, Resurrection. So I never checked it out because I think he should have died, and I hated Next Blood. So I wasn't Dinklage, Peter Dinklage. Thank you. I wasn't interested. I heard it was okay. I had a coworker at the time who was really pushing me to watch it, but everything he was saying didn't convince me. Like the problems that I brought up, the issues that I had looking from the outside, he just goes, "Oh yeah, I guess that is a problem." No, it doesn't address that. So, I was never interested. But I do really like Dexter. The other example of a show that I love, despite its ending, and despite people's feeling on the ending, is How I Met Your Mother. How I Met Your Mother is my personal favorite sitcom, I'd say. I do love, Friends, what Seinfeld I've seen, and, some of the other classics. But How I Met Your Mother, just the continuity of that show, the plot, how everything connects, the character arcs. I felt like it had a much better balance of the typical sitcom stuff with character arcs, with more interesting plot. So I like the evolution of that show. I'm not a fan of stagnant shows, and most sitcoms are very stagnant by nature. So that's why I elevate How I Met Your Mother. And that last season, I love who they got to be the mother. I think she did a perfect job. She was very, very likable. Their moments together were fantastic, getting resolution on so many little things that had been set up over the course of those 8 seasons. It was just, hey, go away. It was just fantastic. Absolutely loved all of that. And then, of course, spoilers, the wife died, the mother died, leaving Ted alone, the kids, without a mother. I can buy him telling this story to get back with Robin. I hate how Robin's regressed and has 5 new dogs living in the same apartment. I hate all that. But the idea of him getting back together with Robin to be a mother to those kids, I see as what the story was setting up in a fashion. He was obsessed with her, in love with her for 8 seasons or 7 seasons until he met Teresa. I believe that was her name. And she, she was always against marriage, always against family, always against kids. And the fact that she said yes to him and got together with him, or at least that's what's implied, showed a character arc for her. If they really had... Now, I know why she regressed, because they wanted to have the moment of him holding the blue French horn, which I do actually love. Just put her in a new apartment, put her in a house, don't have her with 5 dogs living alone and sad. Change that aspect of the ending, and I've got 0 issues with it. I know a lot of people kind of wish it would have ended with, and that, kids, is How I Met Your Mother, the alternate ending. I actually prefer the original ending over the alternate ending, because it resolves the Robin arc. I feel like there's a lot with Robin that's left unresolved by the alternate ending that is resolved in the original ending. She's the only character that doesn't really get payoff. I also don't like Barney regressing a little bit. I do like how it's a daughter that brings him back on track. So there are issues in that final season, but I absolutely love How I Met Your Mother, despite people's opinions of that final season, or at least that final ending. Well, I think I've waffled enough. We can dive into the actual first topic of today, and we'll probably cut through them pretty quickly since we're already past the hour mark, and get on to the Chat Choose Your Own Adventure segment. Let's start with a bang. On May 28th, the New Glenn rocket of Blue Origin had a test fire that went horribly wrong. We've talked about it, but there's more things to talk about now. Just as a refresher, let's watch the moment where everything went wrong. It's a spectacular explosion. This is truly one of the greatest explosions that I've ever seen, as a real explosion, too. Not some CGI thing or some contrived explosion munitions for a feature film. And just the sparks, the embers that float down. It's a gorgeous explosion. Thankfully, no one has been hurt. Everyone is accounted for. It's just material and the rocket itself and the launch pad that were severely damaged by this explosion. So yes, no one was harmed in this. That's why I appreciate the explosion. I'm able to take that moment to appreciate it. However, when I first talked about this explosion last week, I assumed that the repercussions would be rather slim. I'd seen so many explosions from SpaceX, and it's just a step in the journey. It is important for things to go wrong, in my opinion, early on, so that you can get them right later when it counts. It's a great way to learn, and that's how SpaceX learned, bringing us to where we are now with SpaceX and its reusable rockets. Unfortunately, what I didn't realize is the lunar lander Blue Moon, which was recently selected by NASA as their choice to bring astronauts from the Orion capsule down to the surface of the moon in the upcoming Artemis 4 and 5 missions in 2028, was specifically designed to launch on the New Glenn rocket. The New Glenn rocket was gearing up for an actual test flight in the next month, I believe, and this failure, this disaster, pushes that back, which means the Blue Moon lunar lander may not be ready for NASA when they need it. It's exclusively designed for this rocket that failed, so what they have to do is either quickly figure out what went wrong, clear the investigation that has been ordered, that they're working in conjunction with NASA and the federal government to conduct. They need to figure out what went wrong, correct it, and have other tests that go well. They need to be able to prove that everything is okay so that the Blue Moon can launch correctly. They got to figure out how to make the Blue Moon compatible with something like a Falcon 9, which I do not think they have enough time for. They really don't have enough time for making that even a remote possibility. Or NASA's going to have to rethink how they're going to approach Artemis. Thankfully, they only recently made their decision about Blue Moon, so if this justifies a breach of contract, or at least is a justification for NASA to break their contract with Blue Origin, hopefully that gives them enough time to select whoever their second candidate was, most likely SpaceX, and SpaceX can have the time to get that geared up so that NASA can use their lunar lander. I don't know why they selected Blue Origin over SpaceX. Whatever the reason, maybe NASA or maybe SpaceX has to correct a problem with their lander to be as viable as NASA hoped Blue Moon would be. However, I think the more likely solution is, yes, they go that route, but that delays Artemis 4 or 5. The Artemis programs, which will see human beings land back on the moon for the first time in over 50 years, may be delayed by this explosion. So I apologize. I took this explosion last week far too flippantly. I thought it was a good thing just to advance Blue Origin technology, to give them the kick in the pants that they needed to help them figure out these problems now before it became a problem later. But right now is the problem. The problem is now. And NASA will have to decide how to fix this. Most likely they won't make a final decision until the results of the investigation have been cleared. And thanks to Dash, he really put me on the track to investigating this further. He mentioned last week that this might be a legitimate problem going forward because of how important the New Glenn rocket is. So I will be following the story. I want to see how the investigation pans out and what NASA ultimately decides, because I do not want the Artemis missions to be threatened. I fully expect a delay at one point or another back to 2029 or something like that, at least for Artemis 5. That's how space travel works. It is a dangerous and finicky field. You're dealing with such complex machinery that things go wrong. You have to delay. You have to find the perfect weather. So there are likely to be delays, but I don't want anything substantial to stand between us, our return to the moon, the eventual moon base, and our species becoming interplanetary. So We can laugh at the explosion, we can enjoy how beautiful it was, but we need to intelligently worry about what the consequences might be. Dash said, an explosive or a process of rapidly eliminating mistakes happening all at once. I hope they're able to figure it out. I really hope they're able to figure that out, because I don't think there was enough of the wreckage left. Yes, there are, monitors aboard it that were, paying attention to all the different components, so there might be data transmitted to whatever their mission control was, and they'll be able to review that data, but I don't know if they're going to learn anything additional from the wreckage. I really don't think so, because I recently saw satellite footage of the launch pad the next day or something like that since the explosion happened, and it was devastating. It really was. That launch pad will not be used again anytime soon. I love how the Wikipedia of writers, the editors, had already updated to the launch pad was at Kennedy Space Center within hours, I think, of the explosion, but we'll really have to see how it works out. Dash, Blue Origin's motto, step by step, explosively. It's much more apt. Dash, SpaceX's stock price is the only thing going to the moon. I really want to see how that stock price goes. It'll definitely do better than Blue Origin. I don't think... Is Blue Origin public? I don't know if Blue Origin's public. If they are public at the same time, I imagine SpaceX is going to do far better than Blue Origin. Because, yes, Blue Origin, I think, did just launch last month, or recently at least, some Amazon satellites. But the majority of what Blue Origin has successfully done, besides build their own rocket, is take celebrities into very, very low space. Like, barely into the, what is designed as, like, the demarcation line from Earth and space. It's a fluke. It's a publicity stunt. That's the majority of what they've been able to accomplish. Dash, I'm afraid of how slowly NASA will move repairing the launch pad. Yeah, NASA's a juggernaut. They move slowly. And I mean juggernaut in just that it's large, and bureaucracy moves very slowly. So I think it'll be a while. Blue Origin is private. Okay, so yeah, we do not have their stock prices. But if they were, the compare and contrast would be wild. Launching Bill Shatner's their only accomplishment. Yes, that one I'm all on board for. Get Captain Kirk into space. That is an excellent achievement. That is more than just a publicity stunt. But like the Katy Perry one and all the others that they took to space, it's fucking pointless. Take people into space where it matters. Like Bill Shatner, that one I think matters. Take old members of NASA, like Mission Control or something like that, who were never astronauts, who never got the chance, and give them the chance to fly and get up there. Like, stuff like that, I think it has legitimate value. But not random pop singers and Good Morning America hosts or whatever. Take people of value who the world gets value from seeing them in space. And I do think that's true of Bill. I'm being a little, hyperbolic when it comes to Bill, but I do think it was a good thing that he got to go to space at least once. Legatus, whose insurance will cover the repairs, NASA's or Amazon's? It's a very good question. I wouldn't want that bill. That bill is going to be insane. Absolutely insane. Oh my god. I am not rich enough to even consider what a number like that would look like. We can do the next topic. We're powering through. Dash, SpaceX estimated at 170 to 175 billion. Blue Origin is single digits. Probably less now. Yeah, Blue Origin is the pathetic imitation. That's why, like, people acting like Bezos acting like he's true competition for Musk in this field is laughable. It's delusional. So, yeah, I expect SpaceX to do a fairly good job with their evaluation coming up. I don't think Musk is going to use those 401ks. That just immediately looked like a bullshit story. But maybe it's true. Who knows? I didn't research it properly. But yeah, we can dive into the next story real quickly, which is a continuation of the Doctor Who story. Last week, we covered a report that said the BBC was struggling to find the 16th Doctor. It was struggling to find any actors of quality to take on the role of the Doctor for the future of Doctor Who. Additionally, the script for the upcoming Christmas special was such a concern that they didn't think it would live up to the Christmas specials of the past. That's why, according to that report, the Christmas special has most likely been canceled. We've got no word if they filmed it yet. Most likely they haven't yet. If they haven't done it already, it's very likely not going to happen this year, or will not release this year. However, Russell T Davies has responded to these reports that the Christmas special and the future of Doctor Who as a whole is in danger. So let's read his response. In a recent interview, when he was asked about this situation, where is it? I had it highlighted. There we go. In a recent interview with BBC Radio 2, he was asked about when a new star might be revealed. He said, quote, "You will get an announcement. There's a press release lumbering through the BBC, which, as you know, is like the Jurassic period, and 57 people have to sign off on every word." I actually completely believe that portion of it. The BBC is a bureaucracy gone to hell. So, of course, everything needs to be approved, checked, and rechecked a dozen times before it's even close to being released to the public. So that part, I believe. So I promise you, in about a week or 2 weeks, there will be a press release. I can hear the gears slowing down even as I say this. Interestingly enough, he does not even pose a positive or negative implication to this press release. Yes, the question is about who the next Doctor will be, but he doesn't say if the announcement is about that. He doesn't say if it's about the future of the franchise. He's playing coy. He's playing this smart, I'd say. This was a very business-minded answer. Yes, it's giving you a little bit of a peek, but nothing substantive, which is very unusual for current Russell T Davies. While he's been in charge during his new era, the Shootigatwa era, he's had no problems going onto Instagram, responding to who he sees as trolls, decrying how evil the audience is, and saying, "Oh, I don't care if you don't like it. Doctor Who's a gay show now. Suck it up." He hasn't been this strategically interactive with the world, in my opinion, the entire time he's been back. So my gut is telling me that that is the implication of a negative press announcement. The fact that he's being so careful about it leads me to believe that we will indeed get confirmation that the Christmas special is delayed or the future of Doctor Who is entirely canceled for the foreseeable future. But we'll have to wait for that announcement in the next couple days, the next couple weeks, to see what Russell T Davies, the BBC, and whoever they're partnering with now, because it definitely isn't Disney, will have in store for us. God, yeah, he's being so casual about it. Like, he did not give anything away there, and I think that gives more away. Oh no, I already read that one. Legatus, with so many actors and actresses looking for work, even taking on the role of Doctor Who Cares is too much of a career killer even for them. That's what's shocking to me, because I imagine there's a lot of no-name actors who are willing to do the audition, and with the current rules of the Time Lords in New Who, in Shooty Who, it could be anyone, any race, gender, sexual orientation, creed, race, anything. Even an animal could play. It could be a CGI animal with a voice actor. And they still can't find anyone of substantive quality to take the role. It's that much of a career killer. God, it's... whatever the announcement's going to be, it's going to be hilarious. What poor actor did they dredge up from the pits of hell? Or they canceled it, which will be hilarious. And, you know, I'll watch the stands cry. Because anybody who liked that last couple seasons of Doctor Who, I question your taste, I question your intelligence, and I question whether or not you've seen good Doctor Who before. Dash, I imagine BBC is like the dystopian information dispersal department in Brazil. Oh god, yeah, they're not great. They're not functioning well. And if Doctor Who does get canceled, I don't think it'll remain canceled for long. Like I talked about on, I believe it was Roundtable, it might have been Tryhards. Doctor Who is the most relevant international brand that the BBC owns. It's their way onto the world stage. A lot of the other things they do just aren't relevant overall. So they're going to dust it off as soon as they're desperate enough. They really are. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be allowed to rest for long. If it is canceled, the wilderness years this time would be very short. It needs to be at least 5 or 10 years, I think. At least 5 or 10 years, preferably closer to 15 and 20, before they even think about touching it. But, you know, the BBC is not that smart. They partnered with Disney Plus in the modern era. And it was so bad that even Disney Plus knew it was a disaster and is actively rejecting to host the spin-off series that they already paid for. Like, if you're so bad that Disney Plus is rejecting you on every level, you are truly horrendous. Have you seen the stuff Disney Plus shovels into the face of the stands? I've unfortunately seen Mandalorian and Grogu. I know that's not Disney Plus, but it's born from Disney Plus. If they're willing to put out that, and they hate what Russell T Davies were doing, or at least didn't like the response to what Russell T Davies were doing, nobody watched it. And it was a disaster. And I find that hilarious. They got out as soon as they could. The moment their contract allowed them to get out, they were gone. They were gone. Let me see. Yeah, we can do the final one. The final one's going to be very, very short as well, but we can check in with it since I did just mention Mandalorian and Grogu. Just over a week and a half ago, The Mandalorian and Grogu hit the big screens. It was the triumphant return of Disney Star Wars after 7 years without a theatrical release. Now, you might imagine that Star Wars is Star Wars, and that it did gangbusters, easily breaking even within the first couple weeks. Well, if you imagine that, you, I'm afraid, live in a dream world where Disney Star Wars is at all relevant. Because Mandalorian and Grogu, in its second week of release, has fallen to the 3rd spot at the box office. Now, even if you don't live in a dream world where you thought Disney Star Wars was going to do well theatrically, you wouldn't be amiss to think, alright, what else came out? Was it the new He-Man, maybe? That could do it. Or did Supergirl come out earlier than I expected? That I could see beating out Mandalorian and Grogu in its second week. No, I'm afraid not. It was 2 independent, low-budget horror films that absolutely body slammed it. Body slammed it! Because you see here the current top 3 for the weekend domestic box office. Mandalorian and Grogu, in its second week of release, had a 70% drop, making only $24 million domestically, bringing its total gross domestically to $136 million. And as we recently found out, the combined budget for marketing and production was $300 million, making its break-even point $600 million. It's about 250 with international. There is no way on God's green earth that it will limp past 350, let alone achieve the lofty goal of $600 million. This movie will lose hundreds of millions of dollars for Disney, which is pretty par for the course for modern Disney. But these other 2 films that beat it were Obsession, a sub $1 million budget horror film by a 26-year-old first-time director. The main actress, has had a few guest starring roles, basically, in some television shows, but wasn't a big name. It had nothing really going for it until it came out, and its word of mouth was absolutely incredible. Before The Backrooms came out, Obsession was repeatedly beating Mandalorian and Grogu on its own on weekdays in its 3rd week of release. Obsession has been in theaters 1 week longer than the blockbuster juggernaut The Mandalorian and Grogu should be, and it's making more money. What's even more impressive? It's in about 1,500 fewer theaters. It's in 25% less theaters than Mandalorian and Grogu, and it's still decimating it. And then, of course, Backrooms, which had about a $10 million budget, is doing so very well in its opening weekend, already getting $80 million, clearly in profit. This is a great weekend for horror. I didn't know horror would release this early on in the year, but I'm going to go see Obsession probably this weekend. I'm interested in it, and I want to support small creators, independent films, and this is a prime opportunity to do so because it comes with making fun of Mandalorian and Grogu and making its failure ever more complete. The rest of the box office is fine. The Devil Wears Prada is pretty much slowing down. The Sheep Detectives, I don't think is going to break even. Super Mario Galaxy is probably going to finally cross $1 billion, but barely so. And Project Hail Mary is completely done. It's already out on digital, so of course it's kind of slowed down. Absolutely did incredible, though. I love Project Hail Mary, but I think it's time that they pulled it from theaters. This is a great box office, though. There are some legitimately great films in here that people love, that people will remember. And I hope that is what the box office of the future looks like. We're getting consistently great, independent, small-budget films, stuff that people can enjoy, stuff that people can love, even turn your brain off fun like Mortal Kombat 2, and the occasional Disney release just goes out on a limb to die a slow, painful death. That is my goal for the rest of the box office of 2026 and beyond. Yeah, I know I don't normally talk about box office on here, but like I mentioned, I cleared up a lot of the good news for the week on Thursday, so I didn't have a whole lot to talk about. So, I thought, I could get more out of this. There was, of course, the box office discussion on Roundtable where I got a lot of that out, but I've got enough fire in me from the horrible movie that was Mandalorian and Grogu to bring it up again. Legatus, Disney's horrible fan fiction on the big screen. Yeah, that movie is just, I think its biggest sin is that it's just boring. It's, of course, and then storytelling, but I was bored. Oh my god, I thought it was a 7-hour movie. I was checking my watch constantly. There was legitimately one point where I checked my watch, like, okay, it's been 1 hour and 10 minutes or whatnot, and then shit happens on screen. It's changed scenes so many times. It's trying to throw so much shit at you. And I was like, all right, so much has happened. Well, I mean, I say so much has happened. We've changed planets more than once. So it's got to be 20, 30 minutes later. So I checked my watch again. It was 6.5 minutes later. And I think my soul died a little bit in that moment, realizing how long 6.5 minutes had felt to me. I thought I was dying. Like, I nearly left the theater, and I've never voluntarily left a theater. At least, there have been some horrible movies that I've seen, like Snow White, that I've been engrossed by, like watching a car crash. Like, I had to see this disaster, and I was laughing at it. It was so bad that I was laughing at it. I was just so bored to tears with Mandalorian and Grogu, and exhausted from the Day of Doom at Galaxy's Edge. I just wanted to go home. I was done. And yeah, there's only one time that I can think of that I legitimately ever walked out of a theater, and it wasn't my choice. I was a teenager, and I was about 13, I think, and Brave, the movie, came out, the animated movie, and there were some butts in the film. So my mom made us all walk out and leave. So yeah, that's the only time I've ever walked out of a theater was Brave, and it wasn't my choice. I don't even think I've seen Brave again. That's my one example, and Mandalorian and Grogu made me as viscerally ill as apparently Brave made my mother. Dash, who wants to see a continuation of a Disney Plus show at the theater if they're not already a Disney Plus subscriber? Yeah, if they made this a Disney Plus movie, sure, whatever, shut up. Its budget would be insane and they wouldn't get a dime of it back. It's not like they are now anyway. But you have to watch the Disney Plus show to understand the movie. Dash, Jed Spirit leaving the theater if Gingers had a spirit. I do. I do have a soul. You know, Gingers have souls. This harmful stereotype is keeping us from heaven. I think I did blip out there connectivity-wise a tiny bit, but I don't think I was lost entirely. I'm actually going to check Twitter super duper quickly, everyone, just to see if some good news has slipped by. Something new came out that we can talk about before diving in to chat Choose Your Own Adventure. Lies? Dash? No, I've got one. I deserve to go to heaven. Or at least I deserve an afterlife. I deserve a chance. Apparently AMC had its highest May theater attendance since 2019. Wow. That was a good May. It was a good May for AMC. I actually hate AMC. Of the big theater companies, it is my least favorite. It's popcorn or shit. The seats are shit. The prices are higher than everybody else. Give me a Cinemark. Love Cinemark. On the West Coast, I love Harkins. Harkins might be my absolute favorite. But yeah, AMC is pretty bottom of the barrel of the ones I've been to. I haven't been to all of them, obviously. But yeah, good for Obsession and Backroom and everything else out there getting a good May. Because I love the theater experience. Even going to see bad movies, most of the time I enjoy it because I love the popcorn, I love the theater, I love the seats that Cinemark has. And it's an experience. I feel like I'm involved in something. Like watching Project Hail Mary in an IMAX screening full of people was an event. I love the theater experience, so I don't want it to die. I don't want it to go away. So I'm very glad that AMC is doing so well right now. Ginger Norseman, it's part of the reason I don't watch the Marvel films. I don't want to have to do homework. At this point, there's a ridiculous amount of homework to understand Marvel. And I enjoyed that homework for a long time, up until Endgame came out. I've talked about this before, but until WandaVision, I would have legitimately classified myself, if I met myself then, pre-WandaVision, I would have called myself a bit of a Marvel stan. Gonna be honest. I loved everything that came out. I made excuses for Captain Marvel. I was so in love with everything that came out. And I was enjoying WandaVision up until that finale. Then that finale hit. And it fucking broke me. It shattered the glass on the MCU. I was finally able to look at it all with a logical eye. But back then, I loved doing the homework. I loved rewatching the films. I watched all the TV shows that had happened before, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter. But yeah, after that WandaVision finale, I could see it all for real. Captain Marvel, I didn't like it anymore. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., kind of hit or miss. Agent Carter, kind of hit or miss. Black Panther, not as good as I remember. Ant-Man and the Wasp, what was that? Just Ant-Man and the Wasp. Fucking terrible. And all these things I was seeing, and then after that came out Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Despised it. Loki Season 1. Despised it. And I don't think I've seen any Disney Marvel TV shows since then, and I've seen some of the movies. I've seen Black Widow, never saw The Eternals, never saw Shang-Chi. It's very hit or miss, the movies that I've seen since then. But yeah, WandaVision legitimately was so bad that it saved me from being a Marvel stan. It was that bad. But yeah, there was a point I loved doing the homework. Now I can't imagine doing the homework for any of these things. Like the Marvels. The Marvels, you had to watch 2 television shows and 5 movies. Maybe not 5, but a lot of movies just to understand the Marvels. And there's no way in hell that was worth it for me. So I completely understand what you mean by homework. Movies should be an escape, or intelligently uplifting. I prefer the more intelligently uplifting films, but yeah, homework shouldn't be a requirement for a whole lot of them, and if it is, minor homework. Like, I'm not doing homework for Fast and Furious, even though I keep bringing up Fast and Furious. I enjoy some of those movies. I think the first one is legitimately a good movie. But I think most of them are really bad. They're really bad movies. Dash, every time Spectrum blips, Elon's IPO grows 2 sizes. Hey, if that's what it takes. Ginger Norseman saw Highlander in cinema for the 40th anniversary. The sound was terrible. Good nostalgia, though. I only saw Highlander for the first time a few months ago. We picked it for Saturday Night Drive-In, and I thought it was fine. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. Very interesting concept. Liked the acting. I just kept thinking about, what was his name? The original Punisher, the actor, Thomas Jane. I kept thinking of Thomas Jane when looking at the Highlander of, what's his bucket, the main character of that film. But I'm looking forward to the new Highlander film. I really think it's going to be great with the director of John Wick, which I mentioned on Tryhards. I'd never seen John Wick. I saw John Wick last night. That movie's great. Love it. Probably going to watch the second one tonight. Ginger, was not as bloody W key? Well, I don't know what you mean. Was not as bloody W key? The sound was terrible. Good nostalgia, though. Yeah, I think I'm missing what you mean by bloody W key. Was, not as. Oh, okay. The sound was terrible. Okay, I see what you mean. It's all good, man. All good. Ginger Norseman, I watched Multiverse of Madness, had no idea what was happening. Yeah, you would have had to have seen the WandaVision television show, which I do not recommend. It broke me. It absolutely broke my Marvel standum. And I was really enjoying it for the first few episodes because it was an interesting idea. What was causing it? If you don't know, it was Wanda and Vision miraculously resurrected in classic television shows. Like, the first episode was black and white. It was kind of an I Love Lucy style episode, and they were living a normal life in the show, but there was this sinister quality to it. Then the next episode, it was like a 60s sitcom, and then a 70s sitcom, and so on and so forth through the 90s or whatnot. And we were getting little pieces. SWORD, which is basically a S.H.I.E.L.D. off-branch organization, was outside this bubble trying to get into this TV realm and just trying to unravel the mystery. It was really fascinating. And Kat Dennings came back, and she's, of course, hot as fuck. So, I was really enjoying it. And then the last couple episodes are like, yeah, it's actually not that big of a deal. She can murder whoever she wants. Wanda's a good girl, isn't she? And it was just such a lackluster reveal. There's a promise of Quicksilver. If you didn't know, Ginger Norseman, the actor who played Quicksilver in the Fox movies, Evan Peters, showed up as her brother, which, Wanda and Quicksilver are brother and sister, like you saw in Age of Ultron, but it was the other actor. And he came in as Quicksilver. And then it was, he's not actually your brother. Wanda's brain subconsciously just grabbed the closest looking person to her brother and put her brother's personality in his head. And they did all of this for a bait and switch and for a boner joke. The dude's name was Ralph Boner, his real name. That's the level that we were at for the reveals. The reveals were fucking terrible, and it all came down to Wanda had a psychotic break after Vision died, so she imagined a perfect world where Vision was alive again, and that meant she was mind-controlling people, but there were no kids around. So she forcibly possessed 2,000 people, made them act out her sitcom fairy tale like marionettes. She locked all of their children in their bedrooms for weeks on end without bathroom breaks. So these children were starving and shitting in their bedrooms, tortured immensely by her. And literally one of the other main characters, after everything's revealed, is like, "You go, Wanda. It's okay. They'll never know what you sacrificed for them." Meaning, the people that she tortured will never know the grief Wanda went through by letting her fake Vision die again, just so that she stopped torturing them. That was the ethos at the end of the film. It's okay, girl. You were mourning. It's okay that you did everything that you did. They'll never understand what you did for them by stopping the torture. You know, victim blaming is fucking evil. It was like, legitimately, I saw that justification. Like, if she had actually recognized that she was a horrible person and this was horrible what she'd done, and the characters around her were like, "Oh my god, this was a villainous act, Wanda. Maybe Doctor Strange should come and put you down," type villainous. That could have been some really good narrative meat to end off the show. Like, you were responsible and this is fucked up. But the show's just like, "Nah, girl, you know, it's okay that you did all that because you're sad. You go, queen." And that was just so bad that it shattered the glass. It shattered my illusion of what the MCU was. So, yeah, you dodged a truly horrendous piece of shit. And there were a lot worse Disney Plus shows that came after that, like Loki and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Highlander was low budget back then and hasn't aged well in a lot of respects. Jed was too spoiled by the years since to appreciate it like a true boomer. And I understand that. That's why I don't dislike it. I probably never watch it, but I do understand what you're saying there. That, yeah, low budget is something to always consider with something like that. And I didn't have nostalgia for it. So I completely understand what you're saying there, Dash. Ginger, yeah, I did see that. Oh, you did see that. Didn't realize it was written so poorly. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was really bad. Ralph Boner, bravo. Yeah, I was excited for that because I love Evan Peters' Quicksilver. So the idea of him being in the MCU was the coolest thing in the world. I was such a stan, I was watching New Rockstars at the time, if you know that YouTube channel. That's how much down the rabbit hole I was. And then that bait and switch just, ugh. And then the Agatha All Along song that people fell in love with. Oh my god. Alright. I think that's enough of that waffling as well. Let's dive into the chat choose your own adventure segment of this stream right after a quick word from the sponsor of today's stream, Plotter. This video is sponsored by Plotter. Every writer knows the drill. Staring at a blank page, characters ghosting you mid-plot, timelines unraveling like a bad sweater. That endless loop of what happens next, sucking the joy out of your story. I lived it. Outlines and chaos, competing storylines driving me mad. For the longest time, my notes were thick, blocked-out paragraphs, and my outlines were never-ending bullet points that stretched for more pages than my first drafts. Then I found Plotter, my plotting lifeline. Visual timelines that snap into place, drag and drop scenes to tame the wildest arcs, character sheets that keep everyone on track. It turned my latest novel, a 200,000 word juggernaut with multiple character perspectives and solar systems worth of lore, into an easy to understand, trackable project, complete with the series Bible, multi-track storylines, and lore documents that make world building a breeze. And check out their latest feature, a seamless note-taking system for all those story and character ideas that don't have a home yet. Available for free to all users of the Plotter app. For pro users, your notes and files will automatically sync across devices with cloud storage. If you're tired of the plot purgatory, use my link or scan the QR code to get Plotter for life with a single payment of $150. Your epic won't write itself, but with Plotter it'll flow like never before. Link in the description. Let Plotter help you conquer your stories. Welcome to the Chat Choose Your Own Adventure segment of this stream, where you, the chat, with super chats and a combination of dice rolls, give me prompts for a short story, and I have to try to figure out how to make it work. Unless we hit the super chat threshold, we just plot out the short story, have a lot of fun with that, and we see the direction where that goes. I thought I closed that. I do apologize, chat, but it's always a lot of fun. Dice rolls and super chats help pick out the entry in all these different sections, and we figure out the best story to make from there. As always, high super chat starting at $1 can override any dice roll to make the result in that category whatever you'd like it to be. It could be anything that your imagination or your sadistic desires want it to be, and I have to make it work because that is the goal. This is a writing exercise for me to stretch my writing muscles, trying to make true crap half the time reasonably work. Don't always achieve it, but that is always the goal. I see you guys chatting, talking about Clancy Brown, and yeah, he was phenomenal in Highlander. The acting in Highlander was good for the most part, and yeah, Clancy Brown in Dexter New Blood was absolutely the best part of it. Absolutely the best part of that show. But, and Legatus, write a story of a huge Star Wars stand visiting Galaxy's Edge and carrying a Baby Yoda doll and all the happiness of the day. We can see where that goes. If anyone wants to super chat to make that happen, I will plot out that story. I know it very well from personal experience, so we can go in that direction if everybody wants. You may have seen it earlier. The Stream Elements link did get dropped in the chat, so if you're interested in using Stream Elements over sending money to YouTube, I entirely understand, and we can figure it out from there. But the sections of this are genre, lead character, setting, theme or style, and wild cards. So we'll get one entry from each of these sections and try to put together a story that kind of makes sense. If we have that story that Legatus is asking for, it's not going to make sense. There's no way, there's no logical reason for that story to exist. It shouldn't exist. Dash, sometimes the stories almost write themselves. Yeah, but not that story. It's too far-fetched. It's too far-fetched, chat. I can't make it make sense. I can't make it work functionally. I'm sorry. That's the truth of the matter. It doesn't work. Legatus. Not like we have a real-world example we could pick from. Yeah, no one would ever be that crazy. Absolutely no one would be that crazy. But let's go ahead with the genre. Our options are science fiction, fantasy, mystery thriller, horror, romance, parody, and of course, a chat choice. For chat choice, this is a free space for chat. You guys can just put in a normal chat message for what you'd want it to be. It doesn't have to be one of the options here, and we'll just go with whatever seems like a consensus from all of you. For lead character, we have father, gynecologist, filmmaker, blacksmith, monster hunter, and chat choice. For setting, we have present day, past, future, non-human world, alternate universe, and chat choice. For theme or style, we have passing the torch, hope, grief, hubris, acceptance, and chat choice. For wildcard items, we have wolf's head, wings, action figures, nachos, fedora, and chat choice. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll the dice for the genre pick. Dash says to Legatus, or the valiant Disney security foiling a conspicuous ginger 00 agent with a penchant for abusing security guards after failing stealth. Wow, that would be a villain's story is what you're thinking of, Dash. That is a yeah, the villains win in that one. But let's see what we have for genre. 3, another mystery thriller horror, like we got that last week. Alright, for lead character, let's see what we have. Hopefully it's an interesting one. Gynecologist. That's been sitting on there for like 2 months, maybe even longer. Like I think that's been there longer than anything else that's currently in lead character. So we have mystery thriller horror gynecologist. Oh my god. Alright, let's see what the setting's gonna be. Alright, it's a mystery thriller horror about a gynecologist in the future. Legatus, how does the chat come up with such amazing ideas? Yeah, I don't know how you guys do it because there's no reality that could possibly be derived, or these could be derived from. I don't know how you guys are so creative. Alright, theme or style. 2. Hope. Hope. What do I do with hope? A gynecologist and mystery thriller horror. What do I do with that? Wild card. Wolf head. Wings. Action figure. Nachos and fedora. No, wolf's head. What the fuck? What the actual hell do I do with this? I regret everything. I regret all my choices that led me here. A mystery thriller horror about a gynecologist in the future? I'm really hoping for super chats right now to rescue me. Please. Did I do future? I did do future. Okay. Hope. Hope. And wild card. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, the undo key does not work super well in the web version. The app version's fine, but passing the torch, what was it? Hope. Should be hope. It's killing me. I don't know what to do. I'm just writing these while I desperately think of horrifying things, because there have been some horrifying thoughts coming to my mind. Hope to discover the secrets found within. Oh god. She is a she-wolf and is having her exam during a full moon. Oh god. Dash Jed's broken a little bit. I'm very broken by this. A blood moon? No. No. Oh, no. 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 Nuh-uh. No. Mm-mm. I refuse. No. No. Please, somebody rescue me. Alright, mystery thriller horror about a gynecologist in the future, the theme of hope, and a wolf's head. I have an idea, but it doesn't incorporate the hope aspect. That's the hardest part of this. Dr. Rachel emergency in Jed's TARDIS room. I don't know what to do. Oh my god. I'm not doing Blood Moon. Dash, is she hoping she is or isn't? Alright, about the future aspect. I'm thinking of more the horror route. I'm thinking about something pretty horrifying. Oh god. Oh my god, these thoughts need to leave my head. They really do. They do not belong there. I have a full plan. I have a full idea that takes care of everything except for hope. Oh no, she is not in a love triangle with a vampire and a werewolf. No. I've done that already, and that nearly broke me. My plan is so bad. It's so bad. Alright, fertility, maybe that's the hope? Okay, I think I've got it. Or Bigfoot and werewolf. Oh god. Alright. I have an idea. It's set in the future, so this is kind of going into sci-fi horror, because anything in the future kind of goes as a sci-fi route. What I have is... welcome in, Dr. Rachel. Chat, are you breaking jet again? Yes, they successfully have. This chat choosing adventure is a mystery thriller horror about a gynecologist set in the future with the theme of hope and a wild card of a wolf head. I have a plan, but it's horrifying. It's horrifying. Legatus, the gynecologist, is applying a victim test where they discovered a fresh wolf's head beside the unconscious victim. What I have in mind is worse. Dash, the dice pretty much did the breaking on their own. That's true. It is the dice's fault. Alright. Are you guys ready for what I have in store? I don't think you are. So, this takes place on a generational colony ship. And so, it's a ship that's been sent from Earth going out to colonize a new planet. And of course, there's hope in that, you know. They're not leaving Earth because things suck. They're leaving because they want to. Because, you know, populations are getting big, but it's not a big deal. They want to be exploring. And this is several generations in. The problem is they didn't think about degradation of fertility or incest. And it gets worse. The suggestion of incest is not even half of the idea. That's not even part of the idea. That's nothing to do with the idea. That's how bad it is. So after a few generations, maybe a few hundred years aboard this ship, there's a major fertility crisis to the point where they don't know if they'll be able to survive to reach their destination world. So a revolutionary gynecologist is experimenting on a few of the willing women to increase their fertility. And unfortunately, his growth hormones that he injects them with, this is not scientifically accurate whatsoever, this is pure space fantasy, makes everything grow a little too much, and it becomes a little Cthulhu-y, as in fallopian tube tentacle monster springs forth from vagina, and body is just attached to it. So all the women aboard this ship suddenly have tentacles sprouting from their undercarriages, and they walk around with that part being up, so the women's bodies are dangling underneath and the legs are sticking up in the air. And they're, you know, eating people that way. I've got a hope horror future in there, and gynecologist in there. And, and then Wolf's Head is when it gets silly. At least the current idea I have is the same scientist, the same gynecologist, figures out a way to fix the women, and it relies on a degenerative disease. Basically, gives them cancer to kill the tentacles. This is so bad. And he needs a delivery mechanism, so he uses the few animal files he has on hand to quickly clone a beast with the cure, for lack of a better term, in its venom sac. So it's a wolf. It's a venomous wolf head clone man monster that is sent to go fight all the Cthulhu tentacle women to infect them, and eventually the women are all cured and they're perfectly fertile, so the future is secure. There is hope for the future. Ginger Norseman likes it. It's horrible. It's horrible. Dr. Rachel, I take full responsibility for adding gynecologist to the character pool. That is her responsibility. So, Ginger likes it. Anybody else have any thoughts? We didn't have any chat choice, but if any kind person wants to super chat to change things, Jed should have written that down. It seems like you guys wanted me to go in that route, but we can start that. All I could think of is Revenge of the Sith, right after Anakin helps kill Mace Windu, just goes, "What have I done?" That's just playing in a loop in my head right now. This is so bad. Alright. Fertility will have the end of chapter 1 be the first tentacle burst. Chapter 2 is just survival. Chapter 3 is coming up with a wolf head monster and setting him loose on the women, and then chapter 4 will be brief hope. Like they're all good and they're all pregnant 6 months later or something like that. Legatus, and Rachel wants to do it, so do it. Alright, Dash, sounds like the Lovecraftian horror movie The Void, but in space. Really? I don't know what that is, and I really don't want to watch it, Dash. Because you made that connection, I probably will never watch it. Ever. Alright, Crisis. Dr. Rachel, I don't have to draw unless y'all donate. Yes, if we get to $100 worth of super chats on this stream, I will write out this short story. I'll smile. I'm smiling, chat. I'm smiling. I will write out this short story in its totality, and Dr. Rachel will do an exclusive piece of artwork for it. She still has to do the Mafia Penguins art piece, so she might be briefly spared doing this right away. But you could get a piece of artwork that's of a vagina tentacle monster walking around with a woman's body dangling beneath it. Yes, Dr. Rich, $100 to fully break Jed and myself. That will be the worst story forge in the history of mankind. Well, I mean, there's only been like 4 story forges, so that's probably not difficult. It will be the worst thing ever written by mankind. This is when I'm really glad Algrim the Strong isn't in here, because he might legitimately drop $100 for this. I'm really glad I set it at $100 and not like 20. Alright, Crisis. Generational colony ship traveling through the void. About halfway and a few hundred years through their journey. Just gonna copy this for ease. Dr. Rachel, I've drawn some weird shit, but this would take the cake. Yeah, this would absolutely take the cake. Bigfoot, Nessie, Twilight, or just Twilight is far worse than this could ever be? No. No, it couldn't. That was mostly just a parody. That was like a 6 on the horrible scale. This is like a 72. Like, it's not even a close compare. Gynecologist. I'm gonna call him a biologist here, just for ease. I can't spell right now. I'm legitimately broken by this. Gynecologist, biologist is responsible for fixing fertility crisis. Their ancestors hadn't considered space's effects on the female body or the degradation of genetic diversity. It doesn't. I wrote DEI on instinct. Too much incest. Struggling to find a cure. The future of their ship rests with him. The hope that their ancestors left with was all but spent. The stuff I do for you people. Finally has a solution. Passes animal testing and computer simulations. A growth hormone to reinvigorate the... This is not how anything works. I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure tightening fallopian tubes is not a regular means of infertility. And I don't know how to spell fallopian. Ginger Norseman getting flashbacks? What the fuck are you getting flashbacks? Oh, okay, YouTube censored the first comment. I looked over at Restream and there was some context. I just saw getting flashbacks with zero context. And well, why are you getting flashbacks? Ginger Norseman, anyone remember the Dante's Infernal game? The lust demons that had tentacles coming out of their vaginas? I did not know that was a thing. Okay. Fallon, it's Jimmy Fallon fallopian tubes. Yeah, Ginger Norseman, just getting flashbacks. In a previous life, you saw shit like this, Ginger. Yeah, we've all seen fallopian tube Hydra monsters. I've had some very concerning writer flights, very concerning chat choose your own adventures. There's been some weird ones, some that I may or may not regret. There are some that went weird. Luckily, none of the two bad ones ever made it to Storyforge, but they've all been forgotten, erased by this blight upon my consciousness, this blot on my psyche. It is staining my memories, corrupting them, replacing them only with this monstrosity. I'm so glad Algrim's not here. Sorry, Algrim, I do love you. You're great, but I'm glad you're not here. Women line up for Tess. I'm sure feminists would hate this story, because that's the reason to hate this story. Feminism. Dr. Rachel, I still can't believe the story is going the way it is without Biggles' input. Yeah, that's horrifying. I can't imagine how he would make this worse. For Tess, eager to bear the next generation. Literally, what everyone is on board to do. Dash, taking a toll on the author's mind and soul, truly Lovecraftian. Didn't he die from Minecrafting himself? H.P. Lovecraft? I might be making that up out of the ether, but I feel like I understand him. That's all I'll say. I understand. Literally what everyone is on board to do now. Dash, it totally could have gone full dog girl without Biggles' help. Yeah, I'm glad there's no dog girls in this right now. I would have no idea what to do. Literally what everyone is on board to do. Administers. I can't even spell administers. That's how broken I am, chat. I'm done for. I'm gonna go comatose tonight. Dash, Lovecraft died of cancer and malnutrition. Malnutrition, really? But cancer? Okay. So I don't know who I'm thinking of. I really want to make a terrible joke. And you know what? I'm going to do it. Cancer is probably better than this shit. Administers cure to all the women. Complaint. Woman comes to... Alright, I need to copy this without the... Hey, I don't want that. Just want this. Stop adding in the tab. Stop it. Why? Oh, why? Fuck it. Hemingway. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. I always thought Hemingway was in the early 1800s, but he lived through the 50s. Like, that really surprised me last month when I found out when Hemingway lived. I don't know why. I just always assumed, yeah, this type of writing is probably early 1800s. Not that I've read any of his stuff, but I'm familiar with the reputation of at least Old Man in the Sea. Woman comes to gynecologist complaining about terrible cramps. Unbearable pain. Takes a look. Wow. Her legs are spread and he leans close. This is gonna be disgusting, chat. What I'm about to write and say is going to be most foul, so if you have delicate sensibilities, you might want to mute the stream. Or take a 5-minute break, because this is going to be foul. It's going to be really bad. I'm not mature enough or old enough to handle what's about to happen. So be forewarned. And save yourself. A foul stench nearly knocked him out of his chair. It was the smell of carrion, rot, and primal fear. Dash see no see no evil, hear no evil. I might need to do an exorcism. Ginger Norseman, I'm good with this. Bring on the body horror. This is gonna be body horror. Primal fear. Overcomes urge to retch. Leans back in. Skin is black and oily, gripping with a thick gelatinous substance. Tar-like and bubbling as if boiling. Exorcism.exe failed to load. Horror, no idea what to do. Can you imagine if this got made into a Hollywood movie? Hey? You trying to save me? You trying to save me? Siri wants to rescue me. You want to rescue me from this? You want to rescue me? Hey, calm down. You can't jump up here. Lay down. You can lay down. Yes. You want me to leave with you? You want me to abandon this? You want me to abandon this forever? And leave this story unfinished? Well, you're smart. And I appreciate it. But you're gonna have to calm down. You're gonna have to calm down. He really wants to rescue me. Yeah, dog felt bad for me. Yes. Lay down. Dog is detecting the mental decline. Yeah, I'll never be the same man I was. Yes. Yes. Dash, not impossible. It could be a sequel to The Void, as it is. Is The Void really that bad? Oh my god. I'm never gonna watch The Void. Alright. No idea what to do. Stomach presses up like a nest of serpents are slithering within. Slithering within. A clear, pulsating series of waves rack through her body, rippling her flesh and tar, and causing her muscles to flinch. I misspelled it wrong twice. How can I make this not so bad? A strange film seals everything in, appearing more modest than a bathing suit, as if her privates were cocooned, preparing for rebirth. I just... that might be the weirdest fucking sentence that I've ever conceived of, let alone written down. A strange film seals everything in, appearing more modest than many bathing suits, as if her privates were cocooned, preparing for rebirth. I didn't know that I'd let myself open myself up to a story like this, because these were all my dice rolls. These were all the options I'd included in those sections. What horrifying configuration of what else is left is there? Causing her muscles to flinch. Jed has a knack for this genre. I've never really written in this genre. So maybe I need to write a sci-fi horror film or short story about this. Maybe I could legitimately write something like this to find a way for the science to work and put it into my book series. Endless Frontiers, first book to come out. The Fallopian Hydra. Fallopian Hydra. The Oviary. Dr. Rachel, weirdest sentence you've ever written so far. There are many more sentences you can write, my dear. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Ginger Norseman, I do things via PayPal if you have another avenue to throw a few shekels your way. I appreciate that, Ginger Norseman. The Stream Elements donation actually goes through... goes through PayPal. So Stream Elements connects to PayPal if you'd like to use that. I've just redropped the link in the chat, but yes, that does use PayPal as a way to bypass YouTube. Let the madness in, Jed. It's in. It's fully embedded in my psyche. Let me make sure. But yeah, I appreciate the donation, whatever you're thinking of doing, Ginger Norseman, and that'll be it. That link will be a great way to do PayPal. I can't spell muscles. I've tried 3 times. There we go, finally. Something springs forth from the tarry orifice, lashing out at the... Oh, shit. Not that one. Hey! Did it not work? Come on. Come on, gay boy. Lashing out at the gynecologist. Barely dodges. A tentacle is reaching for him. The woman's eyes have rolled back to the whites, and she's unresponsive. All right, that's a good cliffhanger for the next chapter. Oh my god. Monsters. Oh, we have a $10 donation from Ginger Norseman. I appreciate it, man. I don't know if you sent a message with it. Let me see if there's a message with it. Here we go. A $10 donation from Ginger Norseman. Thank you, my friend, saying, I feel your plight. Well, thank you. I appreciate you feeling my plight. Let me update that link because it was in the wrong place. But yes, thank you, Ginger Norseman. There we go. Oh. I don't know why you feel my plight, though. A little concerned about what in your history could make you feel that way. But thank you, Ginger Norseman. He relishes in it. Yes, Dash, he probably does relish in this. Alright, monsters. A nest of black tentacles. I can't spell tentacles right now. Erupts from the vagina. Doom. I had to do it at least once. The vagina of doom. All reaching for fresh meat. That might outdo the last sentence. A nest of black tentacles erupts from the vagina of doom, all reaching for fresh meat. Go back. Ginger, I did say feel for your plight. I ain't never been in anything like this. I didn't do it. Fuck. Is that a Disney attraction, Dash? It might be. What Hunter Schafer calls sex. Is that too far? Why won't it do it? I'm out of it, chat. I apologize. You guys are probably enjoying the hell out of all of this, but this is the worst performance I think I've ever given. Alright, the gynecologist flees and seals his lab, locking the woman, the monster, in. The tentacles extend, reaching roughly 6 feet in length, and pressed down on the floor around the examination chair. They lift the woman up, and her limp body swings down. Her head nearly colliding with the floor. Her half-bent, crooked, and I don't know, Willis? No, and lifeless, there we go. Lifeless legs sway above the nest as if dancing in sync with the monster's movements. Dr. Rachel, do you exit the ride covered in slime? Oh my god. Dash, is Jed going to do sound effects for the monster like the spider seals? No! 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 The spider seals were an accident. There's no sound in my repertoire that I could accidentally do in this moment. I could make some sounds for the gynecologist, because I'm feeling those sounds. Go away. She is really worried about me. Alright, we have just monsters in this chapter and dealing with them. Gynecologist runs for help. All the women aboard ship have turned, that's woman, all the women aboard ship have turned into these monsters. A man's head is bitten clean off by the doom Orpheus after the tentacles had dragged it close. It's a feeding frenzy. Rachel, I think I can speak for most women when I say we've never had our vagicals attack our OBGYN during checkups. Our vagicals, oh my god, that's so good. The vagicals! Oh. We gotta keep going. We gotta keep going. Gynecologist rushing through the ship, barely staying alive, heading for the bridge. Yeah, Rachel, Mama Susan's not in charge anymore, so autocorrect is sexist now. The magical vagicals. Oh. I just heard Jellicle, as in the Cats musical. Dr. Rachel was definitely not my stripper name in the magical vagicals. Next up, your very own darling magical vagicals. I'm trying, chat. I really am trying. Makes it there. Captain only lets him in because he might have a solution. I can't spell right now. Solution. There we go. It's a small victory right now. The fact that I could spell solution. Terrible situation. Men dying everywhere. Won't make it to the colony if they all die. Dr. Rachel, how do you think I got through 12 years of college with no debt? She could climb the pole hands-free. No, I did not marry a stripper, chat. Or an ex-stripper. Sorry to break the game that she's playing. A gynecologist is stumped. Might need to use lethal force. But then they'll die off with no new generation. And the dream of a colony dies too. Is this 2 or 3? It's sure. A wet thump comes from the hatch. The vagicles. Is that how you were spelling it? Vagicles. I'm adding it to my Google dictionary. The vagicles found them. Beating on the door. Check cameras. There are 5 vagicles. And more coming, like the heads of a Hydra, to destroy them. Jet keeps thinking he's written the worst sentence. Oh yeah, it's vagicles. Vagicles. If the gynecologist can solve this, he needs to be in his lab. Jeremy is live right now. I bet he'd like to hear this story. You know what? For the first time, I don't think Dermy is reacting to anything as stupid as what's happening here. The vagicles. The vagicles. They're coming for you, Doc. He needs to be in his lab. Bridge, crew, arms, up. Open the doors. Fending off the vagicles covered in slime. Dash, that's what caused the genetic deficiency. Not enough oranges. Yes, Rachel, you have expanded my dictionary. Alright, distracts enough that the gynecologist can crawl toward the hatch. Passes the black, white-eyed faces of the women he was supposed to help. Gut-wrenching. You know, even though this is one of the most horrifying things I've ever conjured, I have no idea how to spell retching right now. I think wedding? I can't spell right now. I can't even think about spelling right now. I think I'm assembling a half-decent plot. Like, ignoring the horrifying aspects of it. Thank you. Thank you, Legata. I can't even read. Dash. Thank you, Dash. Retching. I feel like removing the vagical aspect of it, there's a real story under here. Along the way to his lab, gynecologist found a severed tentacle with more black ooze coming from the wound. He picks it up and brings it with him. He locks himself in his lab and dives into the work, studying the tentacle. Dr. Rachel, can this happen in Australia? Could it be called the Kraken from Down Under? Yes. Yes, it could be. There's a real story there, deep, deep down there. Oh my god. Dash, that makes sense. The colony ship was originally filled with Australians. The Kraken from Down Under. It's pure B-movie schlock, but I would watch a movie called The Kraken from Down Under. Especially if it turned out to be magical. Some studied the blade, others studied the magical. You're killing me, babe. You're killing me, woman. Here's screams and fighting Days pass, low on sleep and food. Occasionally hears transmissions from the survivors, but he ignores them. Finds a cure for the cure. A cancer-like cell group could, this is total bullshit, eat the non-human growths and hopefully leave the female biology intact. The problem was delivery. Now it's gonna lose all semblance of a plot. Cells can't be sprayed on, and he has no dart gun. So he checks the DNA database where they keep animal DNA for cloning when they reach the colony world. Quickly clones a wolf man with venom sacs in his fangs to deliver the cells. Oh. Release. With the ferocity of an ancient wolf, the creature leaps from the table once awake. His nostrils flare, seeking the smell. The gynecologist planted in him. The plot is lost to Davy Jones' locker now. Oh god, yeah. It delved that deep. This might be the last chat choose your own adventure. Alright. We're getting there. Tears off for the door, barely waiting for it to open. Attacks any vagicle it finds, biting it before moving on. That's the singular. Finds? No, just finds. Biting them all. Women flail beneath the tentacles, screeching in pain. Dash, the void meets Pandorum, generation ship gone wrong. Yeah, the void sounds terrible, honestly. You need to start rolling a d20 for these. 6 and below is just mean. Dr. Rachel, no way this would be the last chat choose your own adventure. Would you really want your final story to be vagicals? Maybe we need some palate cleansers. Ginger Norseman, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm having a wonderful time. Well, I'm glad you're all enjoying my soul evaporating, shrinking beyond all recognition, dehydrated in the sun. Being squeezed. Women flail beneath the tentacles, screeching in pain. Vagicles are seizing. Dash. That just sounds like a normal day in Florida for a ginger. Oh. I didn't spell it right. I know! After an hour, the tentacles melt into black sludge, cooling around the women's limp bodies. A wave of more sludge pours out of their orifices. Their bodies purged. Finally, a woman blinks and sits up, asking what happened. Alright, we did it. Just epilogue. Just epilogue. Alright, this is, I'm gonna put this in its own. Healing. These don't matter, I just like to have something for organizational purposes. Alright, epilogue. Happy ship event full of laughter. Many women are about 6 months pregnant. There's hope in the air again. They're fertile, and the generation ship might just make it. Yeah, I think underneath, like I said before, the vagicals, there's a real, and the wolf-headed monstrosity, there's a real story there. Let me add in one more thing. Wolf man is like a puppy. Happy, go lucky, getting pets and snuggling with anyone who gives him attention. So yeah, the wolf man's fine too. He's happy. He's happy. Dr. Rachel, ladies, please get regular checkups with your OBGYN. OBGYNs, please refer tentacle patients to your local fish market. Oh god. Oh god, Dash, surely nothing more can go wrong. Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be a sequel where the kids are all tentacle monsters. 'Cause why not? 'Cause why not? Alright, I think that's it. As of right now, we just have one $10 super chat, so it is unlikely for the $100 threshold to be met to trigger the separate Story Forge stream. So let's just recap it and call it a night. So this story takes place on a generational colony ship several hundred years out from Earth, and they're facing a fertility crisis through incest and the effects of space travel on women's bodies. Fertility rates are dropping significantly. So the onboard biologist and gynecologist has been sent with solving the problem. He comes up with the solution using a growth hormone that, after testing on animals and in computer simulations, he administers to all the women all at once, because that's exactly what you should do on board ship. They all get the treatment, but pretty soon a woman comes into his office complaining of severe cramps. When he checks down there, he finds it covered in black sludge and a film that is more modest than most bathing suits. And it smells something fierce, like rotting decay. And while he's looking, a tentacle pops out of the private parts and tries to drag his head to the gaping mouth that is the hole. He manages to escape, and it turns out all women on board have turned into these vaginal creatures. He makes it to the bridge, talks to the captain. They consider using lethal force, but without the women, they're all going to die off, and the whole mission was pointless, and 100 years worth of their generations, several hundred years worth of their generations died for nothing. So the gynecologist manages to get his way back to his lab and pick up a tentacle along the way. He studies this tentacle long enough to figure out that there is a cancer-like cell group that can target the mutation and eliminate it. The problem is, you can't spray cells at people, so he needs a delivery mechanism. And the most logical way that he can see is using the animal DNA base that he has in the quick cloning facilities for those animals to make a man-wolf hybrid with venom sacs in his teeth that are full of this cancer-like cell group. He injects or programs this creature's mind with the smell of the tentacles, so it runs out there and bites every woman on the ship quickly. Within a couple hours, the tentacles melt and a wave of black sludge exudes from them, and the women wake up. Seemingly okay. And in the epilogue, many of them are pregnant, the fertility crisis is averted, and there is hope that they will make it to their destination. That is the story of the Kraken Down Under. That's what it's tentatively called right now, the Kraken Down Under. I hope you all like that. Ginger Norseman, you did give a $10 super chat, so that qualifies you for a twist. I forgot to mention that, so if there is something you want changed, you can have it changed. Otherwise, we're locking it in and moving on. Dr. Rachel, that makes me think of that scene in Men in Black when the alien lady gives birth in the car to a baby squid. Yeah, that'll be the sequel. That'll be the sequel. Dash clapping. We get a clap for that. I don't think I should get a clap for coming up with that. I should get the clap for coming up with that. Dr. Rachel, by far the easiest medication or easiest medicine delivery method, breed a werewolf that bites vagicals. Sorry, the music cut out there a moment ago. The playlist ran out, so I just started it up again. I don't know how long it was quiet. Yes, that is clearly the easiest medicine delivery method. A werewolf designed to bite vagicals. But it lived happily ever after too. It's the ship dog now. Can you imagine telling the next generation why there's a wolf man on board? Those babies grow up, it's like, why is there a wolf man, mama? Oh, because Mama had tentacles coming out of her hoo-ha that tried to eat men's faces. Dr. Rachel, thanks for coming. You get a sucker. Ginger Norseman, bravo, sir. Truly a tour de force. I'm really glad we didn't get $100 this stream. Dash, they would never explain the Wolfman. Yeah, just don't explain him. That might be the best idea. Hi! Thank you for rescuing me, but it's okay. It's over now. It's over now. We're free. And with that, the Chat Choose Your Adventure segment of this stream and this episode of Rider Flight are complete. I want to say thank you for watching, but I feel like you should thank me for letting you watch that. That is one of the most violating experiences of my life. I thought this stream would be short because of the news cycle, but we've been going for 3 fucking hours with this. I'm ready for a bath. I don't take baths usually, but I need a bath after that. Dr. Rachel, I'm also glad we didn't get a Hyundai. I wouldn't want to draw that. Yeah, there'd be something wrong with you if you did want to draw that, Rachel. Thank you, Jed. We truly relished it. I'm glad. I'm glad you relished it. I appreciate the thanks. It does little in terms of a consolation prize, but it's something at least. It is something. Dr. Rachel, I need to buy squid underwear. No, you don't. You really don't. That's not necessary. That is not even remotely a thing that should occur. Ginger Norseman, cheers for the stream. Sorry you suffered so. It's all good, man. Alright, well, what I have coming up, I'm going to try to play some more 007 whenever I get a chance throughout this week. Another video like last week's will be coming out this Wednesday, talking about the challenges of artificial gravity and how to write in a realistic manner. That'll be coming out Wednesday at 12 p.m. It'll be another premiere event. I'll have that premiere up hopefully tomorrow night probably. I like to give it, half a day to be out there so people can turn on the notifications for it. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, more 007 tryhards on Dermy Wormy's channel at 10 p.m. Eastern on Friday night. Then Saturday Night Drive-In returns at 6 p.m. Eastern, maybe 7 p.m. Adam's not sure if he needs to push it back on Saturday. This week we were talking about the Keanu Reeves version of Constantine. I've never seen it, so maybe it'll be a good discussion. We'll have to see. But that's all that I have coming up. Thank you all for watching, whether or not it was on the YouTube side or the Kick side. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to Dr. Rachel, Dash, Legatus, everyone else who was chatting or lurking. I greatly appreciate it. And special thanks to Ginger Norseman for the $10 super chat. But anyway, that's all that I have for today. If you enjoyed this stream, please like and share the video. And subscribe. Please, if you haven't subscribed after that, I don't know what I could have done better to earn your subscription. But please like, share, and subscribe. The more support this channel gets, the closer we are to publishing the Endless Frontier novels, not vagical porn. Have a stellar day, and stay curious.